Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. We are just weeks away from Halloween, so I thought you could use an idea for a quick and yummy Halloween treat for kids' classrooms or even for your coworkers. This one's going to be using the 3x6 gusseted cellophane bags and some StazOn ink to decorate those bags. And here's a quick glimpse for you. These are so easy to create that you'll be able to whip out a bunch of these in no time. And guess what? The kids can help you. It's just that simple. I am looking forward to showing you how easy and fun it is to create this. So let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Isn't this cute and so easy? I'm going to give you a couple tips to show you how you can make a bunch of these at once without having to do too much cranking through that big shot to whip out some really cute, flavorful treats. And I'm going to be using the Bat cluster image here from Halloween Scares stamp set. This is in the holiday catalog. I've mounted my image on a clear block and I'm going to use StazOn ink. You will need to use StazOn ink when you're stamping on any type of cellophane, plastic, acetate, aluminum foil, any of those types of things because it's a solvent-based ink, so it won't bleed and it'll dry permanently. So I'm going to ink up my image in here. Now I know, because I've already made this before, that the creases from the gusset are going to show through my image. But I've got a tip to help you fix any of those little blemishes that might bother you. So I'm going to ink up my bat stamp very generously on the StazOn. I'm going to position my bats where I want them and I'm going to press firmly. If you wiggle too much, they're going to end up being really blurry. So you're going to want to be careful. And then I'm going to lift. And remember I told you this was going to happen. You're going to have some areas of imperfection, but quite frankly, I just think that adds quite to the eerie look, doesn't it? I'm going to add a little bit more down here near the bottom, and I'm going to tip it just to give it some motion and some interest. Very good. Now we're going to set that aside. And let's talk about cleaning the stamp. Once you've put a stamp into StazOn ink, it's going to need to be cleaned immediately. So I've got my Stampin' Scrub here. Excuse my reach. My wet side is got a green corner on it. I did this with nail polish because I kept losing which one had the little sun and which one had the little raindrop. This is also a great tip if you're stamping with friends, so that's easily visible. So I'm going to clean the stamp. And before I go any further, you're going to see that I have some residue here. I'm using the StazOn cleaner. You're going to want to use this to get the stain off of the stamp. And you can see how it already turns like a muddy color because it's releasing that solvent-based ink. So over here on the wet side of my scrub, I'm going to rub. And then here on the other side, which is the dry side, think of it like doing the dishes, I'm going to dry. And look how well that takes all that residue off of your stamp. I've got my big shot here, and I'm going to be using the magnetic platform. Since I am using framelets, this is just a great way to keep your images positioned without them sliding all over. Putting a clear cutting mat on the bottom. I'm going to use the large letters framelets. I'm absolutely loving these. These are just a great necessity if you're a scrapbooker or a crafter because I can spell out any greeting I want. So I'm going to put the B on here for the boo. And I've got the layering oval framelets, and this is what I call number 2, so it's the second smallest in the bunch. And I've got 2 pieces of pumpkin pie cardstock, and I'm going to layer that on top of the oval framelet. And then this is the smallest one. I've numbered it number 1, and 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock. So pumpkin pie and Whisper White. You'll need to put one more cutting mat over the top. And I'm going to hold it, I'm going to crank it through. Here is the beauty of the big shot. If it can fit on the platform, you can die cut them all at the same time. Okay, so our die cut is finished. Now we've got those 2 ovals, and we've got the smaller ovals for the layering. And we have our letter B. I have put my Big Shot die brush in an empty box. This works out really well for me. It just catches all the scraps. And I'm going to use that right over this framelit, so I don't have to be poking anything out. This just makes life so much easier. The next step is going to be to put the white pieces on top of the pumpkin pie pieces. These are going to resemble the eyes in a few minutes, so a little snail adhesive. And then I'm going to mount the white oval on top of that one. And the same here for this one. I'm using the 1/2-inch circle punch and a piece of basic black scrap cardstock. And I'm going to punch out 2 of these. Those are going to represent the pupils of the eyes. I'm going to attach those using glue dots. I just found that that's the easiest way. So I've got 1 and 2. And I'm going to mount them all crooked. That's the whole point. We want to make this a fun, interesting little look. So I'm going to put them offset here. We're just about finished. Being able to die cut several layers at a time with the layering ovals or circles or squares really saves you a considerable amount of time. This is a piece of basic black cardstock, and I have cut this 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And you can either score it or fold it in half. I am going to score it. I love my Stampin' Trimmer. When you buy the trimmer, it comes with a scoring blade, and that's the light colored blade, and the dark blade here is for cutting. So I'm going to make sure I've got this going in the right direction because I've made this mistake once already. So 3 1/2. Half of that is 1 3/4, and I'm just going to score. And that's going to give me a really nice fold here in the center for the top of that cellophane bag. Now, I mentioned I can give you a little tip about this impression here. If these little areas that are skipped with ink bother you, take out a black Sharpie marker. If you just dab some ink onto there, it's going to fill it in rather nicely. Got my marshmallows, and I'm going to throw in a few marshmallows here. Because the bag is gusseted, you're going to have some, what I call poofiness on the side. So I put in 4 of the large ones. If you're using small marshmallows or even the novelty ones that have designs on them, those are lots of fun. So I'm just going to kind of situate them in there so they're kind of flat. Here's my topper over the top. Now, no adhering. Here comes the fun part. We're going to take the letter B, and we're going to use the handheld stapler. And I want you just to create 2 angled staples anywhere on here to hold the letters on top of the topper, just to attach it. And then we've got our 2 eyes. So one is the O. I'm going to staple 1 here. And the last one I'm going to do here. So I want my eyes offset. And that's going to spell out boo. Oh, that figures. I'm out of staples. Let me show you how to load it. Undo the handle, and then that opens up the carriage. The mini staples are sold separately, but you get 1,000 of them, and they're really inexpensive, and I absolutely love them. Another great tip is you can color these with your Sharpie marker before you load the stapler. So these slide right inside, and then we're going to close that and give it a slight squeeze to bring the handle down, and that's going to engage it. So let's try this again. I've got my eye, and I'm going to put my stapler right up on here, and I'm going to staple twice. There we go. Quick and easy, isn't it? So here's the one we just created. This is the one I created before we started. Easy, easy. With the double die cutting of the ovals, this will go very, very, very quickly, and you certainly can get your kids involved. They can crank and add glue dots to those little eyeballs. Lots of fun for parties. I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. Remember to head over to my blog, check the online classes tab, as well as the information for Live with Lisa. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.